Hey guys, Veebat here with another V Plays, and Chum, you mentioned that I have been talking about the XP-44 a few different times in my videos, but at no point did I actually end up posting a video of the XP-44. So here I am, taking a look at my Tier 10 progress, or Tier 9 progress rather, on my way to the Tier 10 on that same line, and contemplating, you know what? You're absolutely right. I should probably buy back the XP-44 rocket, showcase the aircraft so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And the reason I've always kind of liked the XP-44 is that I felt like it wasn't deceiving me. It was very honest with you when you started going down this line. Look, these things aren't going to be the most maneuverable aircraft you're going to encounter, but at their tier they have a pretty incredible gun power compared to their counterparts at this same level, because it has pretty high-powered machine guns, 650 cals in fact, Mark IIs on the rocket, which is pretty substantial for its peers at that same level. In addition to that, you get your pretty strong air-to-ground ordnance of two 500-pound bombs. Two 500-pound bombs at Tier 5 is pretty heavy when you're talking about a multi-role fighter. It isn't until the following tier that you actually get access to rockets in addition to those bombs, but these are going to be the bombs that are going to carry you all the way through to this aircraft as well. Granted, there are higher equivalents to these, but they're still 500-pound bombs, just that they start to cause more damage as you go up in tier. With that said, the XP-44 also sports a very fast engine. The XP-44 is a further progress of the P-43 Lancer, I believe, and the XP-44 with the X designation, meaning that it was an experimental aircraft, was the idea of slapping on a much bigger engine and a further advancement of its predecessor. In fact, you can see a lot of similar design characteristics between this and its Tier 4 counterpart. The other interesting thing about this aircraft is that since it was never put into production, it's going to be all theoretical, but it was a very fast airframe and allowed it to be able to dictate a lot of the fight, and that's what I really liked about this airframe as well. The P-43 and the P-40 and the XP-44 both were the only aircraft at the time to have the speed to be able to catch up to the Japanese Scout aircraft that were used at that time, and that's what they used to chase it down. I noticed the airplane changed how it sat, so I wanted to go back and check the other airframe, but yeah, there's the difference right there. By changing to the second airframe, it then gives you the option to upgrade to 4 additional 50 cal machine guns. Now we're sitting at 6, which is pretty good for tier 5, and we are also going to get a very beefy engine. I'm going to put on my standard loadout of the improved sight. I am also going to be putting on the engine tuning as well as lightweight airframe based on our earlier discoveries that the radiator is not actually doing anything. So here we go. Now, I've always really liked that kind of red, like striped tail pattern with the black on the top of the airframe, then kind of that dull gray aircraft design. And I actually got to see a P-47N, I believe, sitting on a stick. Have you ever seen a plane on a stick at usually an Air Force base? And this plane was on a stick in front of a building, and it was kind of at a 45-degree angle, almost like it was banking over the parking lot. And it was in this same type of paint scheme, that red I think it might have been almost like a red checkered or maybe a red striped pattern in concert with this light gray and black, and it looks as cool in person as it looks in the game. It's very World War II vintage, if you would, early World War II American heavy, very industrial looking aircraft. And that aircraft is huge, by the way. If you have not seen a P-47 Thunderbolt in real life, that thing is a monster. And this is a pretty big airframe as well, considering it is the predecessor to that aircraft going down this line. And you can see a very similar lines in the way that this aircraft looks compared to the Thunderbolt. It's not quite the Jug yet, but there are a lot of things taken from this airframe that pretty much cross over into its later development. Now, fortunately, I had a pilot. I had rebought back the P-40 and then realized, you know what, the P-40 was an alright airframe. I did enjoy it, but if I'm going to have to choose, I think the XP-44 rocket is going to be a great option. So we're going to be running this pilot at 90%, and I want you to note, after I've done all of my purchasing and I hit this battle button, there is one key thing that I forgot, and I'm interested to see if any of you guys catch it. Now I'm going to run a full universal set on this airframe. I also like running first aid, pneumatic starter, as well as control surface trim, because killing is a better defense, right? If you kill the gun that's shooting you, he can't shoot you anymore. Did you guys catch what I forgot to do? No. For those of you who did, good job. I did not hit the advanced crew training or the accelerated crew training tab underneath the crew button. So now I'm building XP for what? Nothing. I've obviously already passed through this line, so now I built up more potential free XP that can be converted with gold. And not a good move on my part. So now with that said, I will catch you guys once I finally find a match and we are in battle.
Controlled by the enemy.
Alright, there she is. This is usually how I start all my videos, with this cool cutscene of panning in on the aircraft as it flies into the battlefield. Now, we're going up against a BF-110E and a BF-109, and I have a premium aircraft over here, the ME-209 V4, I believe it was. Yeah, there it is, V4. So this is going to be relatively simplistic. We are playing a tier 5 match, which means there's only 3 objectives on this particular battle. We have 2 minor airfields. These are not going to be repair airfields. You can tell because it's a fighter icon, not a heavy fighter icon. The other icon that you'll see for the airfield will look like a ME-262, the jet fighter, where it's got 2 engines on the wings. That is going to indicate that it is an airfield that can repair your aircraft. So if you're ever wondering why you're not repairing over an airfield, it's because this is only going to give you the benefit of a respawn point and faster respawns. It is not going to give you repair capability like the major airfield. So I have major, minor airfield. We're looking at a minor one here. You'll get to see the potential of what 6 50 cal machine guns can do at this tier. At tier 5, it's just absolutely shredding this boomerang, and we are moving at a pretty decent clip. Now, it doesn't seem like we're moving that fast compared to all these other aircraft, but that's because we're in this kind of rolling fight. But you'll see that this aircraft has some pretty great potential for getting up to very high speed. Also, consider that this is a tier 5 match, and if you take a look at my Bowfighter video, you'll see that we're pretty much cruising at around 250 most of the time, and this thing's in a rolling dogfight and doing it around 200, so that's not too bad. And there's the absolute power of getting those 650 kills on target. Now, I didn't know what was hitting me here. I tried to get my engine back online, and I'm getting hit. I got lit on fire, and it turns out that it was a Yak 7, I believe, that ended up getting me. So it's one of those Yaks that has that huge cannon in the nose. There she is. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate ya. And we'll have to wait for the respawn to come back. Now, unfortunately for us, they managed to grab the mining facility right away. I'm not too upset about this, because if I went and brawled over that mining facility, we'd be yo-yoing back and forth, right? They'd kill a building and get some capture, I'd kill a building and get some capture, and it would just go back and forth, and nobody would actually capture it. The nice thing about this situation is, unless they kill one of our aircraft in the zone, we're going to be doing nothing but making progress as we kill sites. So now you get to see the power of a 500-pound bomb going into that target, as well as taking out what's left of these 2 structures. And let's see what it does. There we go. So we've got nearly more than half of the structure, or the capture points already, and now I see the 109E. Whew. Now the thing with the 109E, and the reason I'm highlighting that, is at this altitude, the altitude block, which is going to be mid to low for these multi-rolls, is going to be, you are going to be the least maneuverable compared to all the other aircraft that you're going to be coming up against, but you're going to be the fastest, so you'll be able to outrun any of the aircraft that typically operate in this block. And you can see we're getting up to 378, 380 miles an hour. This thing really can book, and I'm even outpacing that 109E. But when a high altitude fighter decides to come down and engage you at lower altitudes, what you're going to find is he's going to go faster than you, Well, he's going to go about as fast as you, and he's going to be more maneuverable. He won't be able to turn on your compatriots, but he'll definitely be able to turn on you. You also have a pretty decent advantage with this airframe when you're going up against heavy aircraft. Ooh, I just got hit by his cannons. Because the heavy aircraft aren't going to be able to outturn you, but you'll also have the speed to keep up with them. So you do have that advantage. But when you get those light fighters that are meant to be at high altitude coming down to meet you, that's when you start running into a little bit of a problem with this type of an airframe. Just because you can't outrun them, which is your real strength in this aircraft. Now, here we are showcasing the power of these guns again, just settling in and targeting one of these ground attackers. You have a decent hit point pool in this aircraft. For a fighter that isn't a heavy, this thing is going to have the best of both worlds, right? It's going to have decent firepower, it's going to have decent hit points, and it will also have the speed to be able to keep up with these guys, or keep up with a lot of aircraft, but you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of difficulty when it comes to these very nimble fighters. Like this Yak-7 can be a real pain for us. All in all, the multi-role lines are always going to be a jack-of-all-trade, master of none, so you just got to kind of figure out where your advantage lies in that particular engagement and then try and come out on top. Now this XP-44, I'm not going to be able to outturn him, but if I catch him unawares and keep on his stern, I should be able to eliminate him. But now I'm heading straight into the maw of the enemy forces here, trying to get some shots in on this Yak-7. I want to make a turn on him, but I'm already taking some pretty heavy hits from a multitude of different other aircraft. I want to get out of the mining facilities zone, so that way I'm not going to cost us any capture points. And now I get knocked out by, of course, the 109E, who is coming back for a little bit of revenge. If you know you're going to die, don't die inside of your own zone. You're only going to cost your team some capture points, and that's never a good situation. I don't know what this sound bug is. You can kind of hear this hissing noise, and I try switching between different aircraft, and it doesn't get any better. Sometimes the last sound that your aircraft made before it died sticks in the sound buffer, whatever's going on there, and it just continues until you respawn. At least it's not the sound of machine guns firing, because that can become a little bit tedious. Alright, we're back. I really want to make sure we maintain control of this mining facility. That's going to be our best bet. We're going to gain a little bit of altitude to give us some potential energy, because we can always nose down and get some more speed in order to chase these guys down. Also, it puts us out of plane, which gives us an advantage against a lot of these aircraft. I have no idea what happened with a bunch of those Reddit fighters, but it looks like they all just poofed right off the battlefield. I see the XP-44. He's going to be a more dangerous threat for me, but that looks like that's the end of the match based on capture points. Not a spectacular match, but I'd say a pretty good one considering Tier 5, so I'm totally happy with this situation. Alright, and now I'll catch you guys at the end results screen. Alright, and there it is. This is the XP-44 rocket, a great all-arounder and an excellent introduction to what I thought was a great line to grind. I really enjoyed the multi-role line when I was going down the Corsairs, but then when I stumbled across the Thunderbolt series, I realized it had quite a bit of potential as well. You just have to settle in that you're not really going to be an expert in any one particular area, but you are going to be an excellent jack of all trades, and in your altitude block you are going to be one of the fastest aircraft flying in the sky. Just be wary of those high altitude fighters coming on down to chase you, because you are not going to have the maneuverability to compete with them. As you saw here with the 109E getting down to my altitude, chasing me down and causing me quite a bit of pain as we played that game. But bear in mind you do have a pretty powerful air-to-ground ordnance with these two 500-pound bombs at Tier 5, and they reload relatively quickly, and with 650 cal machine guns, granted they are going to be a lower tier set of machine guns, they do pump out a decent amount of damage for the tier, and they definitely do some serious work. I like the look of this aircraft. It reminds me of what a 1950s car probably looks like after the war was over. Very similar type design, very bulky but strong. It looks like a very robust airframe, and that's exactly what this aircraft was, as it started to introduce us to what eventually would be the P-47 Thunderbolt as we continue down the line. You can even see some similarities in the cockpit layouts. and I definitely did enjoy it, and I am tempted to buy back some of these Thunderbolts as well, since I don't think I ever reviewed the Bravo variant. As always, guys, if you liked the video, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, let me know what you liked and what you didn't like, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one.